The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Gentlemen, take your marks. Set.
Great is thy faithfulness, ladies and gentlemen. I now indicate that coming on the show is Deborah Strawn, and there are a significant more people who are coming on, and thank you so much. We have CSAS Bulad, they're watching all over the world. Well, I thank Mike Sands, who is the NACAC president. They have had, over the weekend, a Congress. A Congress means that you get together and you work out things, and the people from all the way down south, this is NACAC, all the way up to Canada and the United States, they were here this weekend. And they have a whole lot of work to do. Now, well then, the New York Marathon is back. I was shocked and amazed. Albert, Correa, and Perez Jepchirka, both Kenyans, captured their races convincingly. This was the 50th edition of the New York Marathon. There were only 30-something thousand people, but I'll tell you this. There was a shock. Because Chipchirera won gold in Japan. I'm not sure whether it was the Tokyo run or whether it was another run. And there was a shock, a great shock, as her older brother, Bernard Lagat, was working with ESPN. And I'll tell you this, he had no idea that she was there, because she is a baby to him. And oh man, it was really something else. I also found out that there was a marathon in Los Angeles the same day. It never happened before, as I said, never happened before. My brothers and sisters all around the world, I am certain that the Carifta Games are not the only top-notch the Bahamas have held. Does anybody remember the Pan American Championships, Junior Championships, just after the Los Angeles Olympics? We can host them again. We hosted them right after Los Angeles. And the idea of the NACAC Championships was brought up in Nassau, the first time the Bahamas hosted NACAC, where they actually hosted NACAC at one of the hotels out west. And I'll tell you this, the Federation is responsible for putting together or bidding for championships. Mike Sands is not responsible for that. Or somebody is also looking at Linda Bain. Linda, I hope that you're doing extremely well, Linda. last NACAC championships was held in Toronto. Prize money did not compare to the prize money that the Bahamas gave to the senior championships in the Bahamas. Oh, I mean, you're talking about Toronto now. Toronto, they have plenty of money, and they couldn't give the athletes in Toronto what we gave in Nassau. Ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, Philippa Arnett, is here with me, and we will have our guest via Zoom. But we're going to talk a little bit before we introduce him. Track World is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited, Auerbach Homes, Sunshine Insurance, my bestseller book, From Vancouver to Athens, 50 years of Bahamian International Track and Field Competition, and AFD Management Services. Freeman DeVoe is the CEO. Their business is oil and energy. Vaughn Cullman Associates, Insurance Brokers Limited. And we have been a financial services representative at Kalina for more than 50 years. Well, I am very happy to say this Wednesday, the 10th, I will celebrate my 40th year. So you see how that is just speeding on. Yeah, the 41st year, I was corrected. My daughter, Alexis Hanna, is my business partner, and we are the A-team at Kalina. Kalina has health insurance, general insurance, and mortgages. She can be reached at 467-0372, and I can be reached at 432-961. Now we're gonna connect with the one and only Bradley Cooper. April? Bradley?
Yes, good night. How are you?
Oh, yes. Oh.
Good evening, Bradley. Coach Cooper.
How was your day, Bradley?
It was okay. Not bad. It was a bit long, a bit short, but I got through it.
Okay. How did you start in sports?
Oh, I started back in 1971 when I got involved with volleyball and then got into track at C.C. Sweeting with Coach Tom Grant, deceased,
The one and only.
and Richard Addy.
The Cobras.
Go ahead, Bradley. Were you there when Martin Lundy was teaching there?
Yes, I was there with Martin Lundy, George Wilson, Mary Knapp,
Yeah.
and Leonard Archie was our principal at the time. Also, Mr. Battle, who was there with us, and also Reverend Mutri was also there as vice principal at one time.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'll tell you about Martin. Martin and I ran at St. Augustine's. We jump and run and everything else. But he came to The Guardian, and Martin wrote an article about track and field. And that is the article that just powered me, just something else, writing an article in The Guardian about track and field. So that was good.
That is interesting. It's because for someone like me in my age set, he is just synonymous with me at the Ministry of Sports.
Yes, yes.
So I didn't even know he was in the teaching and
Yes,
education.
yes.
So
Very
that's
much,
good to know.
Very much so.
Yeah, he was an English teacher at CC at the time, and
One of the
he was
best.
one who came up with the words. We had 100 words we had to learn within 3 weeks.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
Martin brought the lead the way in English at CC at the time.
Okay.
So what about other schools that you participated in? I mean, well, you talked about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I went from CC, and but 3 months later, I was off to Miami-Dade Community College North Campus, where Coach Grant hooked me up with Coach Richardson. And I spent 2 years at Miami-Dade Community College, and later went on to Florida State with Coach Dick Roberts.
Yes. So what's his name? Danny was before you, wasn't he?
Yeah, Danny was
Smith,
like 2 years ahead of me.
Yeah.
When I got there, Danny was finished at Florida State, but I kind of fall in this track from Miami-Dade straight up to Florida State.
Yeah.
Bradley, that's exciting news. I never knew you were Seminole. Never knew that.
Well,
Awesome stuff.
Well, I lived in Toronto, and I actually, Bradley, I wanted the Pioneers to go up to Toronto and compete in that meet, that indoor meet, and I knew the person who was in charge of the meet, so I called him, and he said, "Well, no, these fellas from the Bahamas, like Walter Callender, all of them, they couldn't do anything. But he said that if you could get Danny Smith." So I went to the same coach, and he gave me the contact, and lo and behold, we were in Toronto. And let me say this, it was just something else. Danny was somebody who went around with his books. Went around with his books. Didn't fool around, okay? Didn't fool around. So, I mean, this was he made the finals in the 50 meters it was then, 50 yards or 50 meters at that time. And I got so excited. And there I was at the final. And Brent Musburger grabbed him and started to talk. And I say, Danny won. Danny won. Oh man. And then, well, we always had an opportunity to party where we lived, and it was really, really, really something else. People from all over the world, Bradley, all over the world, and it really was something else.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So yes, so Bradley, Coach Cooper, tell us, where was your first competition, and tell us about the success at that competition.
My first competition abroad was in Bermuda at Grifter Games, where I finished second at that meet, first time ever, and I beat out a guy from Bermuda, but I finished behind Dilton Woodley, and it was cold. It was on the field, and just being away from home for the first time was an experience for me. And I promised them that when I come back, or if I compete again at Grifter, the goal would be mine next time, and so it was.
That's what happened. Set the goals.
Yeah. But I've competed practically all over the world so far in the years that I competed.
Well, Bradley, just go to the CAC Senior Championships. CAC, you were at the CAC games. We all were there. But when I was the manager, and we decided that we had to have a meeting of the team, and I couldn't get the team together. And so there I was. You all were there with something that Fidel had, and there I was in the room. So I didn't have the opportunity
To meet Fidel.
When we saw him, the only thing he said when he opened up Bradley, he said about 3 words. He talks long, 5 hours and everything else, but he had long, and it was really something else.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
and you've attended so many competitions for the Bahamas, and you've even acted as manager on many teams.
Yes.
I know for me, Alpheus, for Mr. Cooper, he was the first one that ever cracked my back. I
Yeah.
know at a
Oh,
track
yeah,
meet,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
at one
yeah.
track meet, he was like cracking the athletes' backs, and I'm like, as a young athlete, you're like, crack my back? You're gonna kill
Yeah,
me?
you kill you. Well,
But Bradley and I don't remember which competition that was we were at, but you were one of the coaches or the manager on the team. Yes, and that was the first time. But you've attended much more competitions. So tell us about, your competitions and then how you've contributed back to the sport, because you definitely have contributed.
I just need to say something. This young man, Ted Adley, that is Paul Adley's nephew, and that's A.F. Adley's grandson.
Grandson.
But he is a significant person over at Atlantis.
Yes,
I need
I've
to
heard
let you
the
know
name.
that. Yeah.
I've heard the name. Yes, Ted Adley.
Yes.
So welcome, Ted, and to all of our listeners.
Yes. So tell us tell us about going to Helsinki.
Helsinki was a big meet for me, and many folks may not realize it, but at that competition, I finished ninth overall.
That's right.
In the competition at the World Championships. I got a chance to compete against the best in the world that year, and was right on par with them. And that one meet I didn't froze. I was ready to go. I threw 64 meters, I think it was, for ninth place.
What did you do in the qualifying?
In the qualifying, I think I did the same thing, 64.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I finished with that at the end, and that kept me in ninth place.
Awesome.
I've had a chance to compete and in many Central American games. When I first started the Central American Championships, I was always faced with Cubans in that area, and there always was one who I didn't expect or showed up that I never knew that came and finished second or third in the latter years when Delis and Warren got together. I got better. I got through like 6 meters, and that championships, and I went to a championship in Havana, and they went 70 meters on me in that particular championships. But it will. I improve as it went on. You just want to give me a second. I need to get my charger.
Okay.
No problem.
Okay.
As you do that, Coach Cooper, when you come back, tell us and put it in perspective. You're throwing measurements from that time, compared to at the level of where you would have been in a World Championships.
Yeah.
So when you come back.
Yes.
But it's interesting to learn, Alpheus, about the athletes who have contributed to the Bahamas and from where they've come and to where they are now, because I'm sure you're going to get into this with Coach Cooper, because now he has been at the College of the Bahamas, now the University of the Bahamas. And he is one of those persons instrumental in getting track and field
Of course.
with College of the Bahamas, with University of the Bahamas
Yes.
now so visible. I mean, at every meet they have relays, they have members. When at some point years ago, College of the Bahamas had no team.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to learn
we were
about.
always talking about that. Bradley Bain, who was a tennis man, he is the one who was saying, "Hey, man, we have to hook up with the schools, the NAI schools." That's some years ago.
And they are doing it now.
Yes.
They are doing it. I mean, attending big D1 meets, attending meets, and that speaks volumes to the contributions of Coach Cooper and then some of the other coaches who were there as well. Ms. Roll, it speaks volumes.
Well, Alexis Finlayson is watching. Alexis. Hello, Alexis.
And hello, the little grand, little grand.
I hope you're okay now.
Okay, I'm back.
Bradley,
Good stuff.
there's something that is very interesting coming from Helsinki. What happened at the Pan American Championships? You went down there?
Yeah, it was. I left Helsinki after taking a cortisone shot in my right inner knee, because I was having little problems with it. And I went to Helsinki. I was asked if I still wanted to go to Helsinki, and we came up with some funds in order for us to go. And we went to Helsinki, and I competed there, and I finished second at Helsinki at the Pan Am Games, and it was my second or first Pan Am Games medal that I had. I walked away from Pan Am Games with 3 silver medals on 3 different occasions.
Now, what about your NC2A? What you did in the NC2A more than once?
Okay.
As I could remember.
At NCAA day, I qualified on the qualifying day with a 64 meters throw, a 212 feet throw. And I came back the next day and drove 63 and won. I was recorded as the champion that year. But the year before that, first time out at the NCAA, I finished 4th overall with a throw of 58, 59 meters.
That's still big.
So
when
I
you think about
advanced
it.
from 59 up to 64.
Definitely.
At that level in the conference, that's excellent.
And in fact, I was leading the NCAA up until 2 weeks before the championships. There was a guy from UTEP, Sven Waldrick, who was a friend of mine, who had surpassed it and gone 63. And I came there ranking number 2. And I just laid around and I got the good throw, the 64. I said to myself, if I want to win this, I got to get the first round. And I ran 63 in the first round, and he was able to come up with 62, and then 61, and everything else. He was hitting the fence all the bounds, but afterwards he was frustrated to know that I came from nowhere, and I beat him.
Well, Bradley, I noticed at the Pan Ams in '79, you were silver medalist, and was it Mark Williams who you participated with?
Yeah, it was Mark Wilkinson, and it was Mark.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I competed, like I said, against all of them. Mark Wilkins, John Powell,
one of a kind.
And in fact, John Powell was one of my mentors. I met him in 77 at Miami-Dade. He came down to Miami-Dade to compete in the meet, and he ran a clinic, and he taught me a few things, and I learned from him. He competed in the rain that night. I don't know if you remember, that was the night when Mike Chance came up and run in the rain in the 100 meters.
I wasn't there.
On the track day. You wasn't there?
I can't remember.
Okay, yeah, Mike came and ran the 100 up there. I think Mike ran like 10-4 in the rain.
Oh, wow.
Yes?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's been an experience I threw against Danik, guys from Russia, from Australia, from Canada, Bogota.
The joy of sports and meeting, and we're going to get to that, Coach Cooper. The friendships, and the people you've spoken about. Some of the, the very high-powered people in track and field that you've met, but the friendships that are formed when you travel on these teams. And Alpheus had something.
So look here. We're talking about an event, the Commonwealth Games, Can you remember that, Bradley?
Yes, I remember both of them.
Yes. Well, tell us about it.
I missed one because the boy was in '86, but in
86,
'82
yes.
was my first round with the Commonwealth Games, and I finished. I got second, I think it was, second at that Commonwealth Games, and I came back later on in it was '82.
82,
when
yes.
I came back, in Australia, Brisbane.
In Brisbane now.
Where I even won the gold medal. So I threw 64 meters. Everyone was shocked to see it happen because I got into Brisbane on Thursday, had a meet that afternoon, and the next morning I found myself couldn't walk. There, I had torn my medial ligament and didn't realize it. So I was doing treatment 3 times a day to get it well. And before the meet itself, Mr. Parker took me out to some place to see if I could get some straps that I could wear for competition. I tried the strap this. I threw so well. And on meet day, I put the straps on. I had a throw of 53 meters. I tell him this thing will make no sense. I took the strap off and went the cycle without the straps, and that's when I started to go up the 60 meters and then later on to 63 meters to win the meet.
That is awesome. Right now we have Doyle Burrows watching, and Alpheus. We all know Doyle Burrows, the international traveler, the international manager. He's been a manager around track and field. So hi to Doyle.
Bradley,
Say
hi to Doyle.
Hey Doyle, Doyle's been with me on a lot of trips.
That's
I've
right.
traveled with Doyle, and he's a good traveling companion.
He is.
Yes,
he
yes.
is.
But one of the most significant things in regards to that trip, Brisbane, there's a fellow who lives in Rome. And he thinks that he is, Romans, they think they rule the world. And what's his name, Bradley, who was the president of the IAF? He sent a letter to the Bahamas concerning how great the Bahamas was. And he doesn't, I'm saying he does not fool around. He said that he was handsomer than one of the Italian singers. He looked better than them, and he was something else. But he sent a letter to us indicating how well it was. And I could always remember when we came back, it was really something else. Brisbane, yes.
The Bahamas puts on the best. I think even as a younger athlete, I think we always put on the best show all the time.
And one of the things that I appreciated in Brisbane too, Hawk, is that I sat on the ground for about an hour, crowded with children from Brisbane just signing. They wanted to let me go. They just wanted to keep me there to sign autographs. And I appreciate them and appreciate that time.
Boy, that is good. That is good, Bradley.
It is.
Now you talk about friends.
Humility too.
Okay, you talk about friends that you meet all around the world. Give us some additional names about you. Some you've forgotten, some that you are able to keep in contact with, and all of that.
And even some Bahamians, because on every team, I always think about this. On every, I think, senior, junior team, Alpheus, you always have 1 or 2 athletes who make that team, and you don't see them anymore.
That's right.
But the people who are on the team remember them. So, Bradley, are there any Bahamians who would have made teams, and others, as Alpheus have asked, that you remember and would like to say a shout out to them?
And you have those who own varieties of sports.
Oh wow!
You have
He was with the Pioneers also, Bradley.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And he is a Church of God, I think. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. My buddies, Steve, Chanel, and Linda, who were on team many games with me. My deceased friend and brother, Anthony McKenzie, Law.
Oh yes, oh yes. His by the way, his brother just passed. His brother just passed, Ernie McKenzie,
Ernie?
who lived through Lion Road.
And I would only
yeah.
remember him as a young athlete, him
Yes,
always being
I
at the
know.
track as an official.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen any in about 2-3 years, yeah.
There are two other people who are watching, and he always does. Garfield McPhee, who lived in Culmersville, and this person, J.E.E. Liu. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's J-I-E-L-I-U. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.
I know we got people like from on the Freeport that we don't seem to remember.
That is true.
Places like Wesley Saunders, you have Lucy Russell,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
Chairman.
Yeah.
You have Elmer Smith.
Well,
Yeah,
Elmer Smith is the one that I'm looking for. I always, she did the discus right in Grand Bahama.
Right. And you have places like Ricky, and even Doc. Ricky Davis is on the team with us.
Wow.
Yes, yes.
For real? Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Ricky
didn't
is
know
a
that.
run.
That's right. Okay.
It won't look
Yeah.
so now.
No, for all of us, a lot of us. But Coach
Yeah.
Cooper, another thing is
Yeah.
too, I know some of the athletes, some of the older athletes, I think Marcio was one, like some of the athletes that you contributed to as a coach.
Marcia Taylor.
Yes, exactly. And then her
Yeah,
older sister, and then there is a couple athletes who live in the States who was in that era when you were coaching.
Mm-hmm. But
Well,
it's,
in
you
my
know,
young era.
Even though I coached Marcia,
Mm-hmm.
I worked a little bit with her mother as her sister
Right.
who worked, but her daughters came out to me,
Okay.
and I a couple of years ago. But there was a number of athletes in that phase because I started to coach ever since I came back after 76 or 77. Every time I come home, I would work with some individual who was getting ready to throw. And usually when I got home for good, they would recruit me to work with the Caribbean team throwers just before they leave the island.
Awesome.
At one point, I went to indoor world champion as coach manager when I had Pauline and Frank. And I've been around in managerial positions and coaches and coaching for a number of years, ever since I came back home
Correct.
in 1980.
Right. But okay, tell us, even with that being a part of the sport, how are you loving where the field events are going right now for Team Bahamas? It is particularly, I mean, we're seeing more at the younger level. We don't have many at the senior level right now. But if we continue the way we are going with the field events, you must be excited to see what's happening right now.
Yeah, I'm very excited because during that time we got very little publicity at the time.
That's correct.
And now we are, or I would say in the beginning we got publicity because we were the ones carrying the team. And then they phased off and went into the running. Now the field people are coming back on track and taking over the sport. One of the things I was hoping that would happen here is we had the Flores Development Center here in the country. We were looking at it, and I've written a Flores Development Program. We sent it to the ministry. The minister who was in place at the time on the PS told me, "Oh, this looks good," but nothing was done.
Yeah.
Say we can't afford to do it at this time. But that's what we really need, an injection in the field events. we need a throwers or field event development program in order for us to even advance and be on par. The
Well,
thing is, when we got started,
we have one of our
Jamaica.
listeners. We have one of the listeners now who is a field coach who has, propelled a lot of the younger junior, now senior athletes in senior high school. That is, Coach Carrington Maycock. He's on, and then you got Coach Cartwright. But yes, continue. So we're just saying hi to Coach Corey.
yes, and we got Coach Peter Pratt. as
That's
well.
right, Coach Peter Pratt. We can't forget him.
Actually, the first
You got James. You got Coach James.
Yeah, and if we can get this development program set up, we were ahead of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Jamaica was running behind us in the field events.
Wow.
Now Jamaica's ahead of us in the field events.
But Brandy, you know what happened though? Jamaicans ain't stupid, They ain't stupid. They decided that they would have a track and field meet with field events, no running, no jumping.
Yes.
That makes a difference.
Yep.
Although they have very good jumpers and everything else, but they were known for sprinting.
And that's something now that's been implemented here with some of our field coaches, Coach Cartwright, Coach James, Coach Carrington Maycock. They now have just outright field events.
Yes,
a
yes.
field day, not track day.
Yes, yes.
So that's something that definitely you can see they're working on. I know for me, I'm a track person on the track, but they have brought excitement to the field.
Let me say something before I forget. Mike indicated that Shawnee is in line for the big thing in
Female Athlete
Monaco.
of the
Yeah,
Year. Female athlete, correct.
And we
World
need
Athletics.
to know that. We need to know that.
Well, oh yeah, definitely. World
they
Athletics.
couldn't do her and Stevie at the same time.
And we need they could have. I mean,
Well-
again, it's I don't know how they make
How
the
they do it,
choices,
yes,
but yes, she is one of those. And so all of our listeners and everybody out there, vote for Shawnee. It's the end of
The
this
end
month, I
of-
think.
yeah.
The end of this month.
Yeah.
So definitely, yes, Shawnee is one of the nominees
Mm-hmm.
for the World Athletics Female Athlete of the Year.
And I'll tell you, took some people from Toronto, some of the people that I know very well, and they did all kinds of shorts. Phil Stubbs' son lives in Toronto, so he brought down his people.
Okay.
And with a live, and man, it looks something else. People looking at Shawnee, and it was just unbelievable. I wish I could have been there and seen it, but
Okay.
you can't go everywhere.
No, you
You can't.
No, you can't. You
can try
can't. You
at times, at
can't.
times.
Yes, and I think Alive is now her sponsor.
Her sponsor.
Yes, Alive is her sponsor. BTC is Stevens.
Yes.
I'd
So
just like to inject something about the throwing event that we have. It was came up with it.
Okay.
I called the throwing coaches together while at UB and said, let's do it. Here we got to do it at UB Field.
That's correct. It's at UB Field. That's right.
And that's how we got started with it.
Okay.
And yeah, I called, it was myself, Coach Maycock, Coach Cartwright, and Coach Sean Woodside.
And that is
Johnson.
That is an excellent. And I'm sure you've seen from the first when it started to now, it has grown because the number of
Right.
persons that's involved in the field events, I mean, it is phenomenal. And I'm going to just put this in perspective. For me, sometimes you look at track meets, you go to track and field meets, and for high school and for the primary school and all of that, that's when you really see field events. As you go to the senior events, particularly here in the Bahamas, it was much fewer, back up. So, you birthing the child of, like Alfia said, we can't be stupid. If we want it, you got to go for it, and you have to just make
Go
these
for it.
things
Yes,
happen.
Yes.
Yeah, it made me think back of my days competing at Florida Relays. At Florida Relays, the field was on the side, and when the throwers throw, the high school, whoever, you had a number of persons along the field, parents, family members, all there. supporting the athletes, and you got great throws.
That's
In fact, I had a throw out there at 218 feet, some 66 meters. One year I went up there, and it just lighted up the whole crowd and the family. And it was a couple of years ago when I went there, and they had places like John Powell and other shows out there, and they were throwing big as well.
Well, we have
Charlene.
watching Nelson and a young lady called Jenna Mackey. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you. Go ahead, Bradley.
Yeah, I'd just like to throw a shout out to Elaine Thompson, who was with us all the way, and also Miss Claudia Ferguson. They are two of my
yes.
good friends.
No, that's what we're really all about. Let me say this. Talking about what your plans were, Laverne has said to me that she wants to be able to go through the family islands because we miss a lot in the family islands. That's all she wants to do. And I'll tell you this, known as a javelin thrower, okay? Nobody has come close to her. But at the same time, you know, Laverne could high jump, long jump. I think Laverne did the heptathlon once or twice. I can't remember, Bradley. What do you remember?
Yeah, she did the heptathlon, but she's also a shot putter and discus thrower.
And all of that, yes.
All of those events, and in high school you couldn't beat her.
Yes. And
You
that's
couldn't beat her. She was unbeatable.
and that's why I said somebody like that going through the family islands would make a significant difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. We always seem to forget the family islands and the contributions that they can make.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've done one family island. I did the one I did Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
But
Who did you see in Long Island?
I went with L. St. Thompson at the time. And also I did one down in the NGM major as well. I stayed right opposite NGM major.
Did they have? Was that anything to do with one of the what do you call it now? The Bahamas games?
No.
Okay.
It was something that LCN organized for the weekend.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she's passed as well. That was Cadwell Thompson's wife.
Well, while we talk about the family islands, Coach Hooper, we want to just say a special congratulations to Coach Patricia Patty Roll. She was named the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture Coach of the Year. So, and that's an island coach out of North Andros.
Yes.
So we definitely want to say,
North Andros,
yes, we want to say a special congratulations out to Coach Patty.
Yeah, we had some good coaches on the family island. Mm-hmm. Just that the funding or the do what they need to do wasn't there.
Yeah.
Because that's where Peter Pratt came out of Central Andros, Ricky out of Central Andros. You had Coach Anderson out of Long Island. You have
Anderson, Bradley. Anderson has been one of the best in Long Island. And it's something
Renetta Roll.
And he went to Chicago, I think it was, and that was it. Mm-hmm. That was it. They had more girls than boys, okay? And it made a difference. Now, his brother had worked at, what's the name of the school? North St. Augustine's, the red one.
Aaron Bailey?
Aaron Bailey, not the coach, the person in charge of the school, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was over there. Pardon me?
The principal?
Principal, yeah, principal. Yes,
Yeah.
the principal.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we are, and you have Kennard right now is working out of Eleuthera. Kennard.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bradley, do you remember a Longleaf fella in Eleuthera who had fellas who did throws? it would have been in your time. Longley, he was a part of the council somehow or the other.
Okay.
Yeah. But he had people doing throws.
Okay, I
Any
don't
Lutheran.
recollect right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too far back, Bradley.
Right.
Yeah. But hey, you were a young boy then. Young man then. A young
Must have
man
been a
then.
baby.
So we have done, Bradley. There's the Coaches Association. They find money. My understanding is to go to a number of the islands in the area, okay? And
Right.
especially when you look at Morristown, that is significant. We always thought that you should have something in Morristown, and whereby the other schools could come in to Morristown and do well. But you may know that we had money left over from the B3As, okay? And that BJ was gone, and Manny, not Manny, what's his name? Who coaches? Yeah, I think Norbert was here, but I'm talking about who coaches the hurdler.
You know,
Yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Green.
Yeah,
Okay.
what I'm saying is that we have brought in, we spend some money to bring in those athletes. They stay at Breezes and all of that, and that is very good. Now, because of COVID, there's no way that's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
So we have to be looking at next year.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that there has been money there to do some things. And the thing is that we are looking at finding for us to be able to do those things that we talk about. The fella at was in the B3s, Mr. Carey, he said you can't do nothing without do, re, mi. And that is always important. That is always significant.
Yeah.
So you can't do
Right.
anything without money.
Not at all. And that's where you have to
Because,
commend a lot of the Family Island coaches, because a lot of them actually, they have to do so many fundraisers and sometimes go in their own pocket
Yes, yes.
to bring the athletes over to Nassau and
Yes.
stuff, So you really have to commend them for what they contribute to the sport and what they contribute to the community.
That's right.
That's
right.
You have to.
So
Yeah, because you people down in Nassau and you got S. Brown there in San Salvador.
Brown
They
is
need help.
something else, He makes a difference.
Yeah.
He shows up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's far away.
Yep.
That's when community counts.
That's right.
That's right.
Now
It's such a pleasure.
let's talk a little bit about birthdays. First birthday I have to talk about is today. Her name is Francisca Moss. And her birthday is today. Well, look here, I don't tell about women's birthdays. I leave that alone.
That's right. That's right.
And then I have a client in Atlanta, Cassandra P-A-R-T, Laverne Darville. She's been my client forever and ever. And then we have, on the 16th, we have Raul Livia from Puerto Rico. The significance of that person is that when we had some events here, that person came to the Bahamas and brought a bunch of Puerto Ricans.
Awesome.
Isn't that something else?
Yes, it is.
Now, he does a lot of things. When I went down to the Dominican Republic, when we had the CAC games, there he was, but he had Puerto Ricans looking at baseball or softball, something like that. So he is somebody, and I saw him in Moscow,
Okay.
and but it was so difficult to connect with people, that kind of thing. So we have Tamanji Bethel. She's gonna have a birthday on the 16th, I think it is, or 17th. And then we all know Larry Gibson. Larry Gibson? Yes.
Yeah.
Larry Gibson is at the company right opposite Kalina, Larry Gibson, and he's been there, and he's all over the place.
It's Deloitte?
No, not Deloitte.
Okay.
Not Deloitte. The building in the front of us,
Uh-huh.
Newton person
Okay.
from Bermuda.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And then on the then Andrew Edwards, his birthday is on the 20th of the month, and then we're talking about Andrew Gibson. Andrew Edwards works with what do you call it? I call it Phil. What's his name? My good friend.
Who's that?
Anyhow, I'll come to that name. But he was born on the day that my mother died, so we don't forget that.
Okay.
The 20th of the month, and then Maybelline Gibson. There she is on the 23rd. Well, you don't talk about women's ages. Oh man, and it is something else. And then you know anything about Rodney Russell? Well, you don't hear about him. He was a part of the Pioneers, and we went down to Jamaica. And
After you have traveled the world.
no, we went down to Jamaica, and you know, the people were driving fast. I said, "Man, push to take him down. It don't bother him. Don't bother him." So then we're talking about Rosie Gadet. Rosie Gadet is 89. I could say his age.
Yes, you
He was the president of the Pioneers. He started being the president of the Pioneers.
Okay.
Then Jalita McKinney.
You have some other listeners. Mona Lisa Carey out there.
Oh,
Say hi to.
oh, hi.
Say hi to Mona Lisa.
And then finally, a young man called my good cousin who just passed. So
May his
I
soul
give for
rest in
all those people who have been challenged, we give our
Well, I want to
most
add.
sincere condolences.
I want to add a condolences to Coach Ali Roll from Freeport, his brother Lloyd, and he had
Okay.
shared with the track, the track group, and that his brother passed. So our sincere condolences on behalf of Track World and Alpheus and Guardian. We want to say our condolences to you. And then with birthdays, I want to say a special birthday to one of my bowling caps,
Yes?
Dave Taylor and Belmo, and a very dear friend, Deidre Bain. She celebrated her birthday yesterday.
Deidre Bain?
Managing director and guess where she's from, Alpheus?
Yes.
Mangrove Key.
Mangrove Key, Andrews.
Managing director at Sunterra.
Well, April, thank you ever so much for
Yes, April,
putting
thank
on
you.
such a great show. Now let's sing.
And Bradley. Thank you,
And
Bradley.
Let's
You're
see.
welcome.
Let's see that we can see some of the video in some way or the other. Thank you ever so much, April. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Cooper, it's a pleasure, always a pleasure. You learn so
problem.
much.
Anytime.
You're such a great fixture. You've done so much for the sport, so it's always great to have you.
Okay.